Meantime, in the province of New Brunswick, several residents have reported symptoms of dizziness, tremors, speech impairment, and memory loss to their doctors. A community is on the edge of their seats waiting for information on a mysterious illness plaguing residents. Nikki Anastasakis of Inside the Story CHCH has more.
You know, it's difficult. Like, sometimes I'm like, do I even bother saving for retirement? Like, should I just travel with that? Like, there's a lot of stuff I want to experience, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to do those things. You don't want to waste. Time is so precious, but it's,
Time is of the essence for 33-year-old Taraline Perel, who loves to hike, snorkel, and camp, all of which she's been struggling to do within the last couple of years.
It was summer 2020 when my first symptoms kind of started. I got like a sharp pain in my leg. Over the next few days, it happened more frequently. And then it started kind of spasming, like a twitch, kind of like your eye does when you're tired. And then it was my arms, face, fingers, toes. And my big red flag was I forgot how to write the letter Q at work. Like, I couldn't figure out what it was. I had just written it down and I'm looking at it and I still couldn't figure it out or even like duplicate it.
From vision problems to memory loss and endless twitching. It was about a year ago when the receptionist from Kokong, New Brunswick, knew something was deeply wrong. Her health was significantly deteriorating. She contacted her family doctor, who then sent her to a neurologist, Dr. Alier Marrero. He conducted a series of blood tests and neurological tests, ruling out conditions like motor neurone disease and Parkinson's. However, one test on her brain revealed something serious.
It showed the perfusion in my brain wasn't working the way it should. And so that wasn't normal. And he said, you're not the only one. He said he's looking into other people who are experiencing similar symptoms that they can't explain or find a diagnosis for.
Dr. Marrero explained to Perel that he has seen her symptoms in several of his patients who live in and around Moncton, the province's biggest city with a population of about 70,000 people. Ages ranged, with the youngest reported case being an 18-year-old, up to 85 years old.
So he said it's to the point where he's like, I've asked public health to help him investigate this further because he said, like, we're not sure if it's something in the environment, in the air, in the food.
Last June, the government of New Brunswick released a memo stating in part, there have been 48 individuals experiencing an unusual combination of neurological symptoms of a neurological syndrome of unknown cause in the province of New Brunswick. Despite extensive medical investigation, a diagnosis for these individuals has not been yet determined. As part of this investigation, PHNB and our partners have finished an epidemiological investigation questionnaire to gather exposure information. Tragically, from the current group under investigation, there have been, as of now, 9 deaths believed to be linked to the unknown illness. The government says brain tissues from the deceased have been collected and are being reviewed both in the province and by federal scientists. Last October, the government of New Brunswick announced that a special task force of experts had conducted an epidemiological study, and the results of that study found there were no known food, behavior, or environmental exposure that could have caused the symptoms of a mystery brain syndrome.
I would like to quote from Dr. Gerald Jansen of the CJDSS. Quote, in these 8 patients, no evidence for a prion disease was found, nor novel pathology. We suggest that these 8 patients represent a group of misclassified clinical diagnoses. End quote.
Now, Perel is deeply skeptical of the province's claims, saying without proof that the government has yet to conduct any environmental assessments.
I don't know if it's that they know something and they don't want to tell us. If it comes out that it is something in the water, like the blue-green algae, nobody's going to want to come and visit our beaches and, be in a province where you have that potential of exposure to that. And if it's like in the food chain in our fisheries, like that could do a lot of harm to the economy that's already struggling. So that's my personal take on it.
For Steve Ellis, it was June of 2019 when his father's retirement came to a screeching halt.
What's my name?
The 61-year-old collapsed at home with a seizure on his 40th wedding anniversary.
He went to the hospital, and that's where he remained for 366 days. And in that time frame, he had hallucinations, dementia behavior, so memory loss, delusions, aggression. He would be aggressive with staff. He would have repetitive speech.
Doctors said his father had atrophy in his brain and didn't know what was causing it.
We were told that he was going to die. We were told to prepare for that. He didn't. He's still with us, but he's just been up and down on the roller coaster.
Ellis said his family's fight for answers lingers on with little communication from the government. Ellis, who started a Facebook support group last March, says that cluster of 48 doesn't represent all cases either.
My father was not part of that count. I actually was the one who reached out to Dr. Barrero and asked if he could see my father, and he did, and said yes, he checks off all the criteria of other patients, and he became part of the cluster. The cluster of 48, that's the only ones that the government of New Brunswick has chosen to investigate. It's upwards of 150 people.
According to Ellis, he suspects the disorder may stem from the water, air, or soil.
And the problem with New Brunswick is there's been a lot of blue-green algae. And in blue-green algae is the neurotoxin BMAA. And federal scientists have indicated previously that this very well could be why these people are getting sick, because they have a neurotoxin in their system. But the government is not allowing these tests to happen to rule it out even.
New Brunswick Public Health tell us they are currently waiting on a final report from a clinical review of the potential neurological syndrome, which is expected to be made before spring.
We're dealing through a pandemic. So I don't know that this could have moved any faster. All of the steps that have been taken have been methodical and well thought out.
But Ellis says the clock is ticking and the government's lack of investigation into environmental factors is a big mistake that could cost more lives. For Perel, her journey is long and hard, but she's trying to keep her head up.
It's been an ongoing battle. It's really hard not having answers and not knowing. I can't spend all day every day thinking what's going on, what caused this, what's going to happen, will I be able to walk in a year? Will I still be able to, do all the things I want to do in my life?
For Inside the Story, I'm Nikki Anastasakis.